Today on Gardening with Greg, we're gonna do a walk around in the garden and we're gonna do a little scratching. Boy, the drip tape has really paid off for me this year. It's been hot, dry here in South Georgia. I got the best looking garden I've had in a long time. The tomatoes is growing nice and green, looking healthy. I got 3 different varieties in this row here. I got my Bella Rosa, I got my Brickyard, and I got my Mountain Glory. I'm trialing them, see which one I like best. They putting on the tomatoes. I got tomatoes in there probably about as big as a golf ball, so they ain't gonna be long on them. It's my first year growing these rattlesnake pole beans. I got them trellised up just in time. They're growing real good, nice and green. Got them on drip tape, and ain't gonna be long on those. Look at the nice, pretty blooms on them. And it's my first year growing these blue Bayou winter squash. I'm excited about that. Now this winter squash is mildew resistant, unlike some of the heirloom varieties out there. The growth habit of this plant looks kind of like a summer squash, but it is a winter squash. Going to take about 90 days, so they should be coming in around the 1st of July. Boy, my jambalaya okra is loving this warm weather. Starting to get some blooms there, ain't gonna be long. Now what variety have you seen that starts making at this stage right here? Man, these things are super productive and it ain't gonna be long now. Boy, look at how green this Honey Select sweet corn is. Growing like crazy. Last week it was about waist high. Now here in the South, the way we measure our corn is by body parts. And I'd say this week, this corn's about titty high. Look here, I'm starting to get some tassels in there. About 3 more weeks, we're gonna have some corn. My pro-cut sunflowers, I planted here on a spot I really didn't have other plans for. I like to treat sunflowers like a cover crop. So if I got an area that I don't have anything to plant there, I always plant some sunflowers there, and it works good for my rotation. Now these pro-cuts are single stalk sunflowers, and they'll have a big old pretty head on them there. They're pollinous, but look there at the size they are. They're perfect for cut flowers. They don't take a lot of inputs, don't take a lot of care, and they give you a lot of pretty flowers, and they're great for the pollinators. Now, if you know me, you know I love watermelons. I always plant some every year. Now this year I planted a variety, Moon and Stars, an old heirloom variety that my granddaddy used to grow. And I didn't realize that the foliage had yellow spots on it till I growed it myself. Looks like it's doing real good. I'm doing a couple of different trials on my spacing to see which one works the best. I got a couple rows at 6-foot spacing, then I got another row over there on about 10-foot spacing. So I'm gonna see which, how much area they need and which one of the spacings is the most productive for me. Now here comes the scratching part. When my potatoes start to get ready, but they ain't quite there, and I'm having a hankering for some potatoes, I could come out here and scratch around without damaging that plant and get me a mess of potatoes, and that tater plant never knows it. And that's a term we've used here in the South. Now, if you've been gardening a long time, I'm sure you've scratched potatoes before. But if you're new to gardening and you want to sneak you a few taters out there, we call it scratching potatoes. You simply just ease in there, find you some pretty good sized taters out, and ease them out, and that tater plant never knows it. Now, if it's dry, what you'll do is you'll see some cracks along the top, and you follow them cracks in there and sneak you one out. But I watered my potatoes last night, so it's not dry and I don't see any cracks. But I just kind of ease down there and I feel around a little bit till I find me one. And then I just kind of ease it out there. Nobody ever knows it. Well, I've done snuck in there and scratched me out a good mess of these blue potatoes. Didn't hurt a thing, didn't harm the vines, they still growing. So I'm gonna go down the house and I'm gonna wash them up and make me some mashed blue potatoes. And I may share that with you on another show. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this walk around in the garden, and all that hard work is starting to pay off. So we'll see you next week on Gardening with Greg.